Hi, it's Mark Yaffe, episode 20 of How Does That Happen? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How Does That Happen is a podcast about unusual record holders, wannabe record holders, and should-be record holders. Today we're speaking with a couple of should-be record holders joining us from Central Coast, San Luis Obispo area. Please welcome Liz Cottriel and Julie McSorley. Ladies, thanks for joining me on How Does That Happen?
Thank you very much. Glad
Yes.
to be here.
Well, glad you could join in. I know you weren't ever planning to be the objects of media attention, but just for we'll dig into the story. But just for our listeners, you two had a close encounter of the cetacean kind. You had a humpback whale take you for a little ride on the water in the Central Coast of California, correct?
Yes, we did.
And let's see. First of all, how long have you been friends? How far do you guys go back?
Oh gosh, let's see, at least 28 years or more, 30 years.
And you do a lot of outdoor adventures together? Or is this
No.
no?
No, this was a rare occasion. Liz had been visiting me for a while, and I had gone out the day before on the water with my husband and saw that there was a lot of whales that were close into the shore. And I thought it'd be a really cool experience for her if she wanted to join me to head out the next day. So I asked her to come.
And how many years, how long had you been kayaking?
Oh, I kayak a few times a year, not very often. And
Okay.
I hadn't been out there when the whales had been breaching ever. I've watched videos of other people watching them out there on kayaks, and I thought it looked cool. And when we had heard that there was whales out there, I asked my husband if he wanted to go, and he said sure. So we went out the day before, and it was just a fabulous day. Lots of whale watching for a couple hours. So I decided Liz might enjoy it.
And there was no, like that, the day before, no close encounters, nothing seemed out of the
many
ordinary?
close encounters.
Okay.
I mean, the whales were breaching around the kayakers and the stand-up paddleboarders fairly close. They'd come around, but they were it seemed to be totally in control of where they were going, and didn't bother anybody. And they'd kind of come up and put their fins up, and it looked like they were enjoying the whole procedure. And when it got a little bit crowded or later in the morning, my husband and I left. But when we first got out there wasn't a lot of people. But the whales, they go where they want to go. So
Right. Now, how many, I guess it's a pod. How many whales do they estimate are out there at that time when you were?
Oh,
There were quite a few.
probably 10 or maybe around 10. But we were both days following just two. There were 2 or 4 that were closer to the shore. And when Liz and I were out, there were just 2 that we were following. And then we could see whales further out around us, further out from the shore also. And there were kayakers and things out that direction also. But
So nothing out of the ordinary. I imagine it's a huge thrill. Where was it? That day at least? Was it just kind of is it a scary type of sensation, or just super relaxing given the energy of the whales? And
Well, when Julie asked me to go, I am not a fan of the ocean, what's in it, actually. I have been in a kayak on the lake. I can handle that, but not in the ocean. I've never been in the ocean. So she really had to talk me into going. So I was hesitant, and she couldn't carry that kayak by herself, and she wanted to go back out again. So I did agree to go. And
so you agreed that the night before, after Julie came back?
that morning,
Oh,
she was telling me
wow.
how beautiful it was.
Okay.
And she, come on, Liz, let's go. We're not going to tip over. We're not going to, just go. You'll like it. You'll love it. So I said, okay. So we get out there, and we were, paddling out, and I could see the whales from a distance, and I was just in awe at how many there were. And the closest encounter I've ever been to a whale was on the way up to Monterey, Big Sur area, from a distance, way up on the hill, I could see one, spouting water. So,
safely from land.
Safety, yes.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh my gosh, they are so close. And she was right. And there were so many, and there were paddleboarders standing up so close to them. And then a boat out there, and they were close to the end of the pier, inside the end of the pier. And we started going out there, and we were getting close, and I was like, oh, don't stop. And she promised she would stop if I said stop, because they're huge and majestic and graceful. And they came very close. And we ended up find 2 of them that were within our proximity that we stayed distance from, and we would just watch them and how close they got to other people and going in between everybody. And all of the whales way back out in the distance, you can see those too, where the people were standing out way past the pier. You could see them. And so we just got comfortable, and I thought, how surreal is this?
So you'd settled into that comfort zone.
I settled into the comfort zone,
Okay,
and
yeah.
I thought, wow, this is nice, and I got comfortable. But then every once in a while I would get nervous because they were, coming up in different places, and then you got to feel where they're don't know where they're going to come up next.
Right.
And I got a lesson on the fish pot, the fish, when you see them, that's probably, where they're going to come up next. And
can you see that? Can you see the smaller fish where the whales are going to head in that direction?
Yeah.
So when you look up, when you hear it, there's a sound. It's like a crackling, kind of a Rice Krispie sound, really loud.
So that's the fish.
The fish, and you look toward that, and then you'll see a big circle of the silver fish. They start jumping out of the water, and at that point, you look that direction and try to get your camera so that you can take video or whatever.
And when the fish start jumping over the kayak, that's not a good sign.
That's exactly what happened.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes. Well, let me ask you real quick. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourselves as risk takers in general?
I'm a 0.
Yeah, I'm about
a 0. I like that.
A 7. In my mind, I'm more like a 9, but in actuality and things that I've done, more like a 6 or so. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's you read about surfers versus sharks and encounters with hikers and bears. You don't this is not a common occurrence. Obviously,
No.
No.
So there wasn't that. What was your main the fear, Liz, and you had hesitation about going out? Was it exactly
what's in the water?
Like
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's under the water? I have to see. I like to see what's in there. Like I could see, if it was Hawaii and it was clear and I could see a turtle, I would be probably okay. But I don't like. I have never snorkeled. I've never
swam with the dolphins. Any of that?
No.
Okay, so you're not what you call a water person then? Yes.
No, I don't think so.
And
I'd like to be on it. I don't like to be in it.
Right. And what's the normal viewing distance for most the paddleboarders and kayakers when you're out there?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I mean, you can see. You mean underwater or out?
No. When you say you want to get fairly close to the whales to get a good look at them.
We learned afterward that the recommendation distance is 100 yards, but we didn't know that when we went in there. So we were staying maybe, I would say 20, 30 yards away at least the whole time. And when a whale comes up and breaches and goes back under, they leave that big circle of slick of water so you can kind of see where they were. I've seen that, yeah. And so when that happened, what I would say to Liz is, we know they've been there, so let's go over that direction and then look around.
Fill the void. There you go.
And that was really working very well. We'd go over there and then they would come up somewhere else. So we were trying to stay safely away. Right. But like I said, the day before, whales were coming up closer to kayaks. So it's kind of hard because you don't have control over where they go.
Well, probably plus you saw the whales getting close to the kayaks the day before, and you thought, hey, I'm maintaining a pretty safe distance.
Correct.
So
for me.
Yes.
She would stop when I got nervous.
How long had you been in the water before things went south?
Oh, at least an hour and a half.
Well, I got so comfortable that I gave her my paddle and I put her camera around my neck in a airtight or sealed package, and I was taking the video. I had the camera or her phone. So I got so comfortable, I was trying to capture pictures of the whale coming up and breaching, and I was like, oh my God, there it is. There it is.
We had been out there, an hour and a half or so, and we were talking about going in. We kept talking about, let's go in. And she would say, no, just a little bit longer. I had to work at noon, so I knew I couldn't stay out there too long.
So we kind of reverse roles. You're now you're into it.
I was getting more comfortable.
So we were just about ready to go in when this happened. We were actually facing the shore. We had gone out just past the pier, and we were facing the shore and watched the whales swim away from us, right in front of us, about 30 yards away or something. They breached and they went down, and then we just stayed there. And there was some other activity going on that we were watching farther away from us when this happened. And there were huge, I mean, you know where the feeding zone is. There was a huge feeding zone that was kind of toward the beach, not toward the beach, toward the other side of the pier. and there were fish and birds and everything swimming around there, and all the little seals and
Seals.
dolphins, the whole
Wow.
business.
It was awesome.
And so
It's almost
we thought
sensory
we were away from
overload.
that. Yeah, we thought we were kind of away from that, but we were watching that because there were whales over there breaching. And then that's when the fish started coming up around our kayak.
And I had the camera. I mean, I had the phone in my hand, and then all of a sudden, I looked to my left and I saw fish coming up. Now I was in the front and Julie was in the back, and we were facing the shore. And we knew there were 2 whales that we were watching. I saw one. I didn't know where the other one was, and the fish on our left started coming up, and we saw them. And Julie saw them, and I saw them, and I went, oh, and she thought the same thing. And then all of a sudden, right under our kayak, the fish started sounding like broken glass, like crackling glass coming up out of the water, right out of the water, like into our kayak. And then the next thing I knew, I'm looking at the whale inside the mouth coming
So
up.
you're perpendicular with the whale's mouth, pretty much? Oh.
Our kayak tip, Julie went up in the back and I went down.
And the bottom of the whale's mouth came up underneath the kayaks, and the front of the mouth was next to us.
Like
so it was
this.
kind of like this. And
Yeah.
so the back of me went up, and she went into the mouth, and then we went right into the mouth and into the water. And the mouth closed around us, and the kayak went out of the mouth.
It was the kayak went. I have to go.
So the kayak didn't keep the mouth. The kayak didn't really help you escape.
No.
Necessarily. You just got.
It shot out. Yeah.
Ah.
And flipped over, and then we didn't come up right away. So afterward, people were saying they thought we were gone because we were gone. The kayak, we were under there. And then that was a whole nother story. So when I saw the whale, I thought I'm going to get crushed. I'm getting crushed.
So from the crackling sound of the fish coming up till you actually are getting flipped and ending up in the whale's mouth, how much time elapsed, do you think?
A second, 2 seconds, maybe.
Did it feel slow motion, or was it just so
it felt
unbelievable?
slow motion to me, but I panicked, and I was the one screaming. I don't know if you saw any of those videos, but I had the phone, so I'm screaming, and the phone is still going, and it goes underwater with me, and you can see fish swimming around you. I think you can actually see a whale.
You're still holding on to the phone?
The phone was around her neck.
It was around my
that's
neck.
right. Okay.
But I just remember thinking, oh my God, I just thought I was dead. I just thought, oh my, I knew it was the whale. I didn't know if it was outside the whale or if inside the whale, but it was all white, and it was inside the whale's mouth. It was, what is that stuff called? The
Baleen.
Bailing. So that's like around the tongue, or like their vision
It's
of
kind of like
gills?
the teeth of the whale. So humpback whales have baleen that they sift through the water, and the plankton and things that they eat actually go in, and smaller fish, but everything else they release.
Discard.
Well, Liz, you work in an orthodontist office. How do you describe bailing? Is it like gums?
I'm not sure. It was white, and we ended up going in slow motion, one of the films, and you can actually see it.
Really?
How close I was to it. And but I put my arm out like I'm going to protect myself. That's how close I was. And then you can see in the picture, the upper jaw just comes down. Did
you make contact with did you brush on him?
I think so. I don't really remember now, but I think so.
How about you, Julie? Did you have contact?
No. Well, actually,
I think
my right arm with the paddle like this, my right arm, the whale closed his mouth, and my right arm was sticking out of the mouth as it went into the water.
Yeah.
And I've had some, shoulder issues and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it. I mean, it was, to me, she had a more slow motion experience. And in my mind, it was like instantly, it was like I was lifted up and thrown into the water, and underneath the water, it felt like it was in a wave. I didn't think I was in the whale's mouth. I just felt like it was in a wave, tumultuous, like turning around in the water. And my thought was, okay, I need to get up. How far down have we gone? So I didn't know if the whale had pulled us down. So I needed to get up. So I was hold my breath, looking for how far it was for the water. And then I was thinking, if I pop up under the kayak, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to go around and all that. So that's kind of where I was. And then as soon as I popped up, I was like, where's Liz? That was the next
And then
question.
when I went down, I was like panicking, and it's amazing how much air you do take in when even though you're panicking. And I was like, looking up to see how far I was really down. And I didn't know if I was being pulled down by the whale, the same thing. I didn't know where the whale was relative to where I was. And I was just panicking. And my thought was, I'm going to drown. First I was going to get crushed, and now I'm going to drown, because I didn't know it was that busy down there. It was just so like being a riptide, like feeling like you're just getting tossed around. And
well,
so
just the force of the weight. Yeah. It's
yes,
unbelievable.
it was, yes. And so finally I popped up right after she popped up, and the kayak was upside down, and we both popped up on the side of it. And then I don't even remember, but in one of the pictures, there's a whale right on my right side, just a whale just sitting there, like going by.
So that was his other buddy just hanging out.
Yeah, it was the other one.
There's a great picture of us there. Our heads are here, the kayak's upside down in front of us, and the whale is right
here. And I don't even remember. A huge whale right here. Like I'm swimming with the whales.
Yeah.
So they certainly doesn't sound like they had any intention of trying to do you any harm. They just want some fish. They can't gum an adult with those
swallow us. Yeah. No. They spit us out.
Oh my! So what did the eyewitnesses? How long did they think you were submerged? Did anyone say
it was about 10 seconds from when the fish started crackling to when we popped up in the video.
Oh.
So yeah, they were pretty scared. The one video, she definitely both of them thought we were gone. And there were 4 or 5 people that came up right away. And there was one gentleman that had, as a retired firefighter, and he was asking us. I didn't know I was in the whale mouth, so I just thought I was dumped in the water. And I came up and he was asking us, do you have all your limbs? Are you okay? And I was wondering, why was he asking that? Of course I have all my limbs.
They're trying to tell us you were in the whale's mouth. Yeah. And we're like, we didn't know at that point.
And then they just they found our paddles and brought them over and uprighted the kayak for us and helped us in.
So the kayak was still in one piece then?
Down.
Oh yeah. We paddled back to the shore after that.
They told the firefighter said to me, you look really, really pale. You're in shock. Stay put. We didn't have any broken limbs. We were bruised. Both of us were bruised because of the way the force of it,
Right.
But we paddled back to the shore, and I was in the front and she was in the back. And I'm just thinking to myself, said, did that really just happen?
Was that a quiet ride back, Julie?
We didn't say much
until she realized that our car keys were in her pocket and they were gone.
I said, the first thing I said when I got out of the water was, I don't know where your phone is. And then I don't know where your keys are.
So did the keys and phone, are they at the bottom of the Pacific now?
No, the phone stayed around my neck, but
the
keys were lost.
Right. So that video that we have, we tried to stop it frame by frame a little bit and I need to do a little bit more of that, but analyze. And that's where you can see the baleen, you can see fish, you can see the white of the whale's mouth. You can see all that in the phone pictures, which is pretty amazing, actually.
And you see the fish coming up in my face, crackling right there, because I've got the phone still. And you can hear the crackling of the fish, like it just coming on, like this big thing.
Yeah, she had fish. Suspense. She had fish all inside her clothes.
Yeah, we got up there. I think we were still in shock, though. We got up to the car, and we had to figure out how to get home now. And I'm shaking my shirt. And as I'm talking to Julie, I'm shaking my shirt, and fish are falling out of my shirt, like 5 fish on the ground. And then we're laughing.
Julie, do you remember the first words exchanged when you got to shore?
Oh, I don't remember, but we were cold. We were shaking and cold by that time, and we were in shock, and we were trying to figure out how to get home, and how to get what we were going to do. And I had to go to work, so I was kind of concerned. And
at that point, I'd be like, "Hey, I got a pretty good excused absence. So I'm not going to work."
Yeah,
except for she's the owner of a physical therapy.
Oh, you had appointments scheduled, and people are waiting.
Yeah. And it wasn't. We didn't understand and realize what a big deal it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like our kayak got tipped in the water. We got back in our kayak and went back home. And then we got the woman that took a video, sent it to me. And there was a gentleman that took still photos.
That followed us to shore.
And he followed us
Okay.
and got our information and sent those to me. So when we analyzed what actually happened,
We're like going,
and when the video went viral, and the next morning we had like calls from all over the world coming to us about what happened.
Yeah, that's right. You guys have the Guardian's covered this, New York Times.
Right.
You've gone international. That's
We've
great. How
had-
many views? Any idea how many views they said you've had? on this?
Millions. I don't know. I know
think
it was.
we're 4th or something with Google. I
Did
don't know. What,
Nice. Did you set up a YouTube channel? So you at least get paid for this? Get a sponsor?
You know, our video was the one that was underwater, and we did license it, but we haven't received anything yet. I think
Yeah.
it's been.
Well, I know on YouTube you have to have like 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 minutes of viewing or something. No, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you get contacted by any like Fish and Game or Marine Mammal? If it was anyone like the scientific community asking any questions about this thing?
A little bit. I mean, mostly not really about that so much. Mostly just people that were interested in it. There were some people that were upset that there are people out in the water with the whales. They think that people shouldn't be that close, which maybe
Right.
may or may not be true. But
So you got some. I don't want to say you got hate mail, but you got some disgruntled
right,
messages.
and I totally get that. And now, fortunately, it's making a change in the Harbor Patrol here. There were no Harbor Patrol out there at the time. And so the Harbor Patrol are going to put up some signs when the whales are feeding, which is not, they only come every few years. It's not like they're there all the time.
Oh, it's biannual. It's every 2 years.
Well, it's not. They come, but they don't come into the shore area very often.
Mhm.
And when they come into the shore, they're gonna put signs up so people know, keep your distance, and they're gonna have Harbor Patrol out there making sure people are doing that.
The Cottriel
that's a
McSorley
good change.
rule.
Right, there you go.
Yeah. Well, that is a positive change. I mean, obviously, they're probably most of their journey. I'm guessing they're left. They don't have much human contact. But I've been on cruise ships in Alaska, and everyone, they're out in the boats and whale watching. It's like, they want to have their peace and quiet, but at the same time, you guys certainly weren't out there badgering them. It's not like
No, I don't fear for the whale at all.
Yeah.
The whale, we didn't bother the whale. Nobody out there was bothering the whales. The whales could upright you and just go on with their business. They don't care. And if they didn't want to be around people, they would have been out just a little bit further out.
Mm-hmm.
There were fish everywhere out there. So
was your incident before or after? I don't know if you read about in Portugal how some of the humpback. I think it was humpback. It may have been another type of whale that were ramming some fishing vessels out there off the coast of Portugal. So I didn't know if that was around the same time. And they're having some sort of whale uprising. But
maybe that's it. I don't know.
So how'd you guys get home with no car keys?
Oh,
this is hilarious.
My mother, who's 80 years old and 5'2", I called my parents, and my dad was not home, but they had a pickup truck, which would have put the kayak in the back of very easily. And we were driving a little car with a rack that it was up on. So she came with a pickup truck, but she was too short to reach the pedals at first. She had to figure out, and she couldn't get it started. So it took her a while, but when she finally got there, and we had left the back tailgate open of the car so we could get all our things out.
Yeah.
So we left it there, and then we had to get the car towed and get a new ignition put in it.
So how's that phone call go with your mom?
Oh, she's funny. She'll do anything to help. She was a little bit panicky because and she called my father, and she accidentally pushed like the emergency, like I'm not 911, but there's some kind of emergency thing on the iPhone that you can send him SOS, I guess it is, to my dad. And so he kind of was worried about us for a little while, but it worked out. She managed to get there. I don't know.
And then
Did
you your work.
Go ahead, Liz.
Didn't tell him what happened.
Oh, I called him to tell him I might be a few minutes late, and and told him that I had lost the keys in the ocean, but I didn't tell him anything about the whale because again, my focus was, what do I have to get done? That's
right. Did you tell your mom right away about the whale, or did you just say, "Hey, we need a ride"?
I told her that the whale turned over the kayak and that we needed a ride, but I mean, I didn't even really know what happened myself until later that day. So.
Right. So once the incident, did you end up going to work?
Yes. Oh yeah. I was there.
How about you, Liz? You worked that day?
No.
Have you been back to work since? So you got the day off, Julie, and that's understandable. Next day you were back at it?
Oh yeah.
It took a while for it to really sink in for us that happened. And then I mean, within that week, we were being contacted by a whole bunch. I mean, the whole month of November, really, and we were just being contacted time after time and interviewed and all different ways. And when it really sunk in with me, I think I felt a little trauma, like, oh my gosh, that could have really taken us both, or one of us and not the other. Or, your mind goes bonkers, with the reality of what could have happened.
Or life altering, lost a limb, or paralyzed.
Easily, because that's what I thought in an instant when I saw that that I knew it was the whale because of the fish, and I knew the whale came up, and I thought I was getting crushed. Then I thought I was going to drown. And then, it was just coming up out of the water, popping up, was just like, how you panic, when you're coming up, you could hear me breathing. Yeah. She goes, "Are you okay?" Yeah. It's just,
so what would you say is your freeze frame moment, Liz? Like the one that, if you capture that one image in your head, is there one that kind of sticks out for you?
Yeah, the whale.
Mouth
like,
with
I'm going to protect myself from it,
Yeah. How about you, Julie?
When the fish first came up, that was a big deal to me because I knew that was a sign that something was going to happen. So when the fish first, because it was all around us, and the fish was coming up. And then when she popped up next to me, probably was the other thing.
Yeah.
That was important.
Wow. And then, so it's been a couple months now. So you start, it's like a car crash. I'm guessing it keeps replaying in your head.
Yeah.
Like how long does that go? And then is it just less and less where it comes up, besides people like me badgering you to relive the story.
No, it's okay. We're bonded for life with the whale story.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think about it for sure. And the thing is just to, appreciate every day. I mean, think about that, appreciate every day. And actually my appreciation of the whole wildlife, and especially out in the water, what occurs, and just being out there with it is such an amazing experience. I mean, I don't think I'll be out there with the whales again, but just what goes out. I'd love to be, get scuba certified and at least be able to go down and see kind of what's down there.
There you go. So you'll be back in the water. How about you, Liz?
We're embracing the whales. We buy each other gifts.
They have those California. You got those personalized whale license plates.
Yeah,
you get those,
I already have one of those actually.
You just draw a little picture on top. Put you guys on there. What's the cop going to say? Hey, I didn't deface the license plate. This is a historical recreation.
There you go.
Well, I'm really glad
we embrace the whales and each other, and that experience was life altering. And
your new spirit animal was definitely the whale, I'm guessing.
Yes,
definitely.
It is.
And do you guys have any land adventures planned? Like, if Julie asked you to go on a safari now, like African safari, would you say, you know what, we don't have good odds with wildlife? Or
I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Well, I don't know. I would come. I trust Julie. It's just, what are the odds of that really happening?
Right. Yeah, take her to Monterey Bay Aquarium. That's pretty safe.
Yeah, there you go.
Zoo. Yeah, the odds, you think about, it's not even listed in the table of odds. They have, like lightning, shark attack.
That's right.
Storm. It's just you guys are off the charts. I would have gone right away, bought a Powerball ticket. But
yeah, and
the
Ripley's, believe it or not, did run our story on their website. I don't know if they put us any kind of record or anything, because I don't know how that works, but it was they did a story on it anyway.
Well, it's amazing. You guys are really good sports about it. And some people are like, you know what, just leave us alone. This is really traumatic. And you guys have embraced it, like you said. And hopefully, it brings attention to, what man's interaction with nature, especially the whales. And, they're dealing with some stresses on their environment. So that was awesome. And what was my last question? What's probably the craziest question you guys were asked in any of your interviews? Anything stand out?
You have any crazy questions?
On the talk show, did he ask us anything funny? He is funny. Up and Adam in the morning here.
Up and Adam. Oh, right. You were doing the early morning stuff too.
Oh, yeah. He did us. He called us twice. Yeah, we were pretty happy to talk about it. At the trauma of it all didn't really sink in till later of what could have happened, but we've been connected with the whole thing. So we are together. So it wasn't like it happened to just me or just her. We
Yeah, I
experienced
think
it
that's
together.
better to have that bonding. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Tell you
so
the craziest interviews we've had a couple in Spanish in the Rio de Janeiro when they did quite a long news story on that, where they had whale experts go on and they played the Pinocchio cartoon and a part of it, and it was really very comical, but it's in Portuguese, so we had to have some of it interpreted for us. So but that was very interesting. And we had another one from what was the other Spanish one?
Brazil.
Colombia, I think.
Colombia
Yeah.
put themselves in kayak, the newscast in the kayak.
Yeah. So we've had some, and then it was at election time. So
Yeah.
we for briefly was the top story above the election, which was kind of interesting because it was the day before the election.
Oh, one thing
Yeah,
too
good
is
for you.
my daughter's from, was born and raised here in San Luis Obispo, and she is in Davis right now. And all of her friends were calling her and saying, "Did you hear what happened in Avila Beach?" And no, my daughter was saying, "Did you hear what happened in Avila Beach?" And they said, "Yeah. Do you know who it was?" And my daughter said, "Well, no, I better go back and look." And they said, "It was your mom." And she said, "No way. My mom will not get in the ocean.
Yeah.
You don't know my mom. That was not my mom." Julie had to have talked her into it. And then
had to be Julie.
It's all me.
During the election, people who were wanting to interview us didn't want to run it because they didn't want it to be overshadowed by the the election. But then my daughter said, "You guys, Trump, you're trending."
Trump, yes. Well, thank you for sharing your moment of fame. I know it's probably one you wouldn't wish for, but you guys have certainly handled it great. And whatever your other adventures are together as friends, I hope they're safe and long lasting. And it's been an awesome interview with you guys. So thanks for joining me on How Does That Happen? And that concludes episode 20. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Liz. And we'll see you guys next time. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.